Good morning. If you're taking self-care to balance and avoiding burnout, you're in the right place. We have a fantastic presenter this morning with us, Dr. Timone Davis. Earned her doctorate and master's degree from the Catholic Theological Union at Chicago. They'll be back. Timone currently serves as the Associate Director of the Continuing Education and Enrichment at Xavier University of Louisiana Institute for Black Catholic Studies. Timone is also the Chief Operating Officer at On the Move Solutions, Inc. in Chicago. Timone coordinated the Reclaiming Christ in Life Young Adult Ministry Program for the Archdiocese here in Chicago. She also co-founded Peace, Centered Wholeness with her husband to blend clinical counseling and spiritual companionship. Timone is also the weekly formation director for the Augustus Tolton Pastoral Ministry Program, a lay scholarship program for African American men and women at Catholic Theological Union in Chicago. And we welcome Timone with us this morning. Thank you.
I sound a little bit busy, don't I? Almost the perfect person to be talking about self-care, don't you think? The only other thing that I would add to that list is now I'm an adjunct professor over at Loyola University, the Water Tower campus in the IVS program. So, just a couple of things to just add to the docket. But I have to tell you, though, the perfect balance for me is my husband, who is recording me, sitting right there. That he kind of makes sure that I keep some things in focus when I lose my way, which is easy for us to lose our way. Would you not agree? Yes. That's probably why you're sitting here trying to figure out, help me, help me, help me. For the purposes of helping you, we'll cover the wedding feast at Cana. Spend a little time with a party. Why not start with a party, right? And then move that into how that particular feast can be a model for us in practicing self-care. Bishop Joseph Perry says that ministry is a lifestyle. And as with other lifestyles, such as fitness and healthy eating, there must be balance. So if we think of ministry as a lifestyle versus a job or a career, then we can begin to think about why we have to have some balance and how we can work toward that. So let's just dive into the wedding feast at Cana. I like to tell the story just a little bit different, so for those of you who know this story well, I hope you won't leave being really disappointed about the way that I tell it, because since I'm the presenter, I get to use it the way I want. But I like to think of it in terms of from the perspective of the server, which we don't often look at. But from the perspective of the server, we have someone who is probably finally got a job, right? Had been looking for a job, maybe keep losing jobs, but has a job now. And this wedding feast proves to be one of the best things going. Because, wedding feast back then lasted several days. So you were guaranteed to get some good work, right? And so probably some good money. And so this particular person got this job. Happens to be the one that is in charge of the wine and making sure that the wine is served, right? But I've often thought about, what is it like to be Jesus, with your friends to show up at a party that your mother's at. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't often think about it. You're going to a feast and you're going to a party and then you get there and your mother is there as well. It's like, oh, I really got to watch my behavior. You know? And so she turns around and she sees her boy and she's like, hey, how you doing? It's good to see you, right? And so the party is going well, right? And everybody is having a good time. And word is that the wine is running out. Now, where was Mary as she heard this? And what was she doing paying attention to the fact that the wine had run out? And what made her want to interject herself into the situation? I want to say that like many of those who are parents or who are watching over different people, they want to make sure that the people who are struggling, right, are taken care of. You know, and you may be like that too, that you're like, I want to make sure that the people who are in need are taken care of. So she overhears the fact that there's no wine, and so she, you know, goes to her son. She's like, look, they've run out of wine. Mama, I'm at a party. Why are you bothering me with it? Why are you telling me that there's no wine at the party? I got wine in my glass, right? Kind of wonder what that exchange could have been about, right? And then he, you know, I'm not, no, my time is not here. I'm not doing whatever. And she walks away like a parent would and tells her son, you know, do whatever he says. So now he's stuck. Right? He had already talked back to his mother, you know, and she ignored him because you could have been a confrontation there about talking back. But she ignores him, walks away, and lets the servant know, do whatever he says. And so now the servant is standing there really lost, trying to figure out what is going on. Why should I even be First of all, why did this lady come up to me, who is a guest at the party, to tell me what needs to happen, right? And then why am I even going to follow through to talk to this man, Jesus, who is also a guest at the party? Now, what I tend to envision at this particular time is that when we are lost and really don't know what else to do, we'll talk to anybody who has been presented to us as somebody who will help us. And it's also a good thing that this happens to be Jesus, and he doesn't really know that it's Jesus and who Jesus is, but she sends him right to Jesus. And interestingly enough, people in our lives will send us directly to Jesus. Go and talk to Jesus. Now, in our confusion and things like that, we're like, but for what? You know, I really need wine. Why am I going to talk to anybody who doesn't seem to be the person that I need? So right then and there, there's confusion. Right then and there, there's uncertainty. But when you're lost, you tend to just kind of follow through on somebody's direction. And so he's just like, okay, fine. Well, the lady told me to come and see you about the fact that we don't have any wine. And he says, okay, go fill those jars with water. I'm sorry, but it was wine. We're talking about wine when we need wine. And Jesus, you know, I understand. Go fill these jars with water. Two possibilities can happen. One, I may ignore that particular directive because it makes no sense whatsoever to my need. Second is, I'm going to follow through on that because I don't know what else to do. And then often we make those choices, one or two, and I know I have been one that was like, I am not doing that. That makes no sense to my current situation, my current circumstance. It makes no sense. And so I'm not doing it. And that's often where we find ourselves, where Jesus has given us a directive. It makes no sense to our situation, and we don't follow through. Or we could be like the server in this particular story who was like, well, whatever. I don't have anything else to do. and that keeps me out of sight of people that's looking for the wine from me. So as long as I'm busy, then nobody will be bothering me, right? And so now I'm gonna go and do this task. And it's gonna be a long task because there's 7 of these jars. But now what happens when we start doing something that seems so totally disconnected from our situation? Some time gets in there. We get to think a little bit. Maybe we relax from our circumstance. Maybe the situation falls into place better. Right? We can probably see clearly. We get some movement going. Because you know that's a back and forth movement to fill those jars. And so the work is finally done. Hell is serious, right? So we go back. Where's the guy that, oh, I really hope he didn't leave the party. There he is. Go back and we find him. I've done what you said. Hey, now take a little bit of that out and go and give it to the head man. Let him taste it. Make sure that this is wine that he wants to present to the. You want me to take some of the water over to the man who's looking for wine and see if that's what he wants. Now, if you're like me, Jesus asked you to do something. He says, now that you've done what I've asked here, I want you to move to the next phase or the next level. And we tend to stop right there because part of us is, I'm not equipped. I'm the wrong person. I'm not the one who can do this job. Oh, it should be somebody else. Oh, I don't think I have everything right. And you know, more and more and more, we come up with some reasons why we shouldn't move forward. But we're stuck. We're stuck in between the water jars that we've just filled up and the action that we should take for somebody to fill those jars. See the results of that work, that labor. And some of us stop right there. When I'm doing it, I'm not going any further. And then some others of us will step forward and go, okay, fine. I'll be brave enough to take out of there and take this right on over to the person. And see what's going to happen. This ought to be interesting. This will be my last day working. I'll be able to say that I followed the instructions, right? I'll be able to say that I did my part. They fired me anyway, but I did my part. Because we know this story so well, there is an amazing thing that happens. This isn't some best wine. Now let's be the servant who's standing before this person who does this exclamation, this is the best. And people usually say the best and blah, 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 and right? You know the end of this part, right? But you give the best now. And so then you have to look over. I did that work. I know what went into it. I know my efforts. Somehow in between the work that I did and the movement, something else happened.
just took place. Now, truth be told, Jesus didn't need the servant at all. The fact that Mary said, they have no more wine, was really all that was needed. She lets Jesus know there's no more wine, and Jesus, really all he has to do is, there's more wine. Doesn't need to involve anyone else. But if we're talking about balance, balance involves other people. Balance says that even though I may be able to do it on my own, there is a point in which I must involve other people. Other people must come into the relationship, right? And then perhaps there are other people who are coming into the relationship who I may need to train. I may need to send them off to do some particular tasks that don't seem to be connected to our objective. Or I may need to move someone who is stuck in a particular space into another space. But it involves other people. Now that becomes the difficulty, right? And those of us who minister and those of us who direct programs, we're in charge. We need to be the ones that get it done. I don't have time to be depending on anyone else. And part of that is also because we have not identified a need or the need, right? We keep it. So when we're talking about achieving balance, we first have to talk about that there is a need. What is the need? What has to happen? And the need would be the ministry. We want to look at it that way. What is the ministry? That would be the need. Now the minister would be the one who addresses the need. Trust is placed in the minister that the need would be met. Then there's delegation. That's usually where we fall short. Delegation. The trust part says, I know this need will be met. The delegation part says, there's got to be some balance. And I'm going to not only trust that the need will be met, but I'm going to trust that who I share this with, that they're going to do their part as well. Ministering, ing, gives us clarity. Clarity on what is really needed. And it says, reach out to some workers. That's going to help us do the ministering. Wayne Muller says in his book, Sabbath, Finding Rest, Renewal, and Delight in Our Busy Lives, he says, part of our issue is that if we keep working, we feel as though we are actually controlling events. We give ourselves this false sense of, I've got it all handled. And so we just keep working. Right? There's a young woman in one of my classes who says, but it's my responsibility to prove to the world that I can do the job and I can be great and I can, and they need to hire me and keep me, and so I must keep working. I said, yeah, okay, I got you. I said, but you're falling apart. You're not feeling too well. She said, well, what do I need to do? I said, rest. Rest. She said, I don't have time for that. I said, I didn't have time for that either. And I got really, really sick because I didn't believe that rest was part of the plan. I said, so rest is part of the plan, right? But I'm a go-getter, non-stop. You gotta keep it moving, right? You gotta keep it moving. As long as I keep it moving, I'm controlling the events, things are gonna happen, this project is gonna come to an end, and it's gonna be great. And I don't know if you're like me, but you kind of ignore your stop button. You know, and if your stop button is like mine, it's the one that says, oh, you're thirsty. Right? Aren't you thirsty? You should get up and go get a glass of water. I'm going to sit here a little more. I'm almost done with this thought. You're really thirsty. Or don't you have to go to the bathroom? You know, your body starts sending you all sorts of signals. Get up. Move from this space. Right? Just the other day, I sat at my computer for 2.5 hours straight because I wanted to finish. And I got all of those two signals that I'm telling you about. I was thirsty and I had to go to the bathroom. And I looked over at my nice little coaster to reach for water, and it was empty. Like, not only was there no glass there, right, that was empty, which meant I hadn't had any water that I drank. There was zero, no cup, nothing. Coaster, guess it was a nice little coaster sitting there. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get up and get some water. But I'm in the middle of what I'm doing, and I'm not getting up to get this water. An hour later, I was like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. Well, I'm in the middle of what I'm doing, but it was 2.5 hours, because now what had happened after 2.5 hours, 2 signals I had already gotten. I started getting a headache. Why do I have a headache? What was going on? I slept well last night. I did whatever I was supposed to do, and then I started getting a cramp in my leg. Oh, I should probably get up now. Now would be a good time. I'm still thirsty and I still have to go to the bathroom. Now I've got a headache coming and now my leg hurts. Are you like me? You start ignoring some of the signs that are happening for you, that you don't pay them any attention when your body, first clue, the body will tell you. But the work that we're doing cannot wait for the body. It is very important work. But in our mind, we don't think about that once the body shuts down. Who's doing the work? What better get done? Balance. I am not as great at balance as I would like to talk about. Right?